What is going on, guys? This is the Vaulted Podcast, your number one source of collecting cards and the community. I'm not Shivam, and we have a legendary guest this evening. Well, this morning. Typically, I run the podcast in the evenings. We have PokeDean right here. What is going on, man?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's been in the UK right now. It's been like really hot. So trying to survive the heat. Had
That's
some card
right.
shows as well, but it's
That's
been good. It's been good.
yeah, like really hot actually, like
Yep,
record-breaking heat. Yeah, like
the
it's
hottest it's
getting.
ever been in the UK.
Yeah,
It's not been
yeah.
fun.
I hope things change for the better. With global warming, that's a pretty intense thing, and so, um, I hope things change. I hope it gets cool again over there.
So do I.
Yeah. So guys, before we start the podcast, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. Getting really
Oh
close,
yeah.
really close. Like 18 or 17 subscribers away from hitting it, and so once it hits, we're officially monetized. So, and if you've been here forever, how long you've been here and you've been supportive of the channel, I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. And if you're listening to us through Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you hit a 5-star review or give us a 5-star review. It helps. We have PokeDean here, a content creator out of the UK. He does
Yep.
Pokemon, and he hasn't done Dragon Ball Z in quite some time, but it says Dragon Ball Z on his channel. So hopefully that changes. Hopefully we see a lot more Dragon Ball Z openings. But we have Poke Chloe in the chat. We have your average player in the chat. We have Sam Chibi in the chat, and we have many more people watching us right now. I hope all is well. And let's go ahead and get right into it. The topic of this morning or this afternoon or wherever you are in the world is, are you still buying Pokemon cards? So the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is because obviously economically, interest rates have definitely increased significantly in the past year. We're in a lot different place since last year or the last 2 years. Things have become a lot more expensive when it comes to everyday expenses such as gas, such as materials for your home, or even food. And so what that means is that there's not much left in terms of your average person's disposable income. And so there's not much more room to buy certain Pokemon cards. But the trade-off for that is that a lot of Pokemon cards have gone down in value. A lot of cards across the board, sports cards, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, lots of cards across the board has gone down in value. So we wanted to kind of have this open-faced discussion with Dean here this morning, as well as you guys in the chat, if you guys are still buying Pokemon cards. And I want to have that conversation with Dean. But that's gonna be on the second portion of this podcast. I want to have this podcast first start off with who is PokeDean, how he first got started into the hobby, what is it like collecting in the UK versus here in the States, because I know a lot of my audience are pretty much from the States, but having my mic sounding funky today. Testing. Oh, I have two mics open. There we go. That should be a lot better.
You sound good
That
to me.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better. I hope I just fixed it on the OBS side of things. So,
Right.
Matt, thank you for letting me know. I wanna talk about that a little bit more. So, Dean, kind of walk us through your childhood when it comes to Pokemon and kind of tell us about that, because I know that a lot of us can pick up the nuances from your end, because collecting here in the States was vastly different from collecting in the UK. Like, Pokemon was hitting us everywhere here on literally everything. You walk into the store, it's everywhere. You would have it on toothbrushes, you would have it on macaroni, you would have it on your Pop-Tarts. Yeah, cereal, just literally everything that you could really think of. And I just want to talk. I just want to kind of get a little bit of insight as to what that was like for you growing up, and then just walk us through from that point all the way up to now. Like, you're sitting here now in terms of Pokemon content creating on YouTube.
Yeah. So pretty much for me, Pokemon, whenever someone mentions nostalgia and stuff like that, Pokemon is always that thing that hits me the hardest, with that nostalgia feel of just going back to being a child. Because as you mentioned, when we were kids, like in America, in the UK, like in America, Pokemon just took over everything. It was on everything, like you said. It was the big thing for us. It just took over the schools. We had the card game. Everyone was going to school every day with their new cards in their pockets, PSA ones at the time. But yeah, no, they were literally just taking over the schools. Wherever you weren't cool if you didn't have a Pokemon card in that sort of sense. Like
That's facts.
everyone was trading in the playground, like writing, like just writing on them, and like making their own cards and stuff like that. It was literally the best thing about my childhood, I'd definitely say, because I don't know, it was just going into a shop, spending your pocket money, buying a pack, and then just chasing for one of those holos. For instance, mine was the Charizard. I will never forget packing that as a kid. It was like it took me so long, but I like once I got it, I felt like I was the king of the playground at school. I
Yeah,
had the big shiny Charizard, which was so cool. But yeah, so I kept collecting that throughout like primary school, I'd say. And I would watch all the animes, and probably one of my fondest memory is that my nan, who passed away a couple of years ago, she bought me my first ever Game Boy Color, which was green,
ah,
and Pokemon Red. And I was telling her like I wanted this for so long, and she surprised me one day, and she actually let me take the day off school because I was pretending I was ill. And I just remember sitting in her living room on the sofa and just playing that game. And I don't think I turned it off for about 2 days. Like it genuinely was, I felt like I was in a different world, like playing the game. And it was just like the best feeling ever. And from then I was hooked. Until I got a little bit older, and I don't know if this is the difference between the UK and the USA, and I say it on our podcast every now and then, that I feel like there was a certain point growing up where it was almost a complete switch of, as a kid, if you didn't have Pokemon, you weren't cool. But then it got to a point where if you weren't playing the new Xbox, going after girls or boys or whatever, like that was the cool thing to do. And Pokemon was almost sort of too nerdy when you got to a certain age. And it almost had a bit of a stigma to it of not being cool and being very like nerdy, or you're still like a kid sort of thing.
mhm.
So there was definitely a point. I'd say I stopped collecting. I don't really remember opening up Neo. I remember opening up Japanese Neo Genesis, but then I don't really remember opening up like English Neo Genesis. So there was a point from there up until probably 2016 where I just was distracted by other things. I had Xboxes, PlayStations, GameCube, sorry, Wii's, all of the consoles. Like I
Mm.
remember playing Halo, and just other games which just took over my attention, which was, it was fun. But I always came back to the Pokemon games, and like I mentioned, those are the sort of things that kind of give me that nostalgia feel of like just being, you're at your like happiest when you're a kid, right? Because there was nothing
Yeah.
to worry about. Like you just
No
had
stress, no
yeah, no
responsibilities,
stress. You were always with your friends.
no
You just like
bills.
just exactly. So yeah, so I started getting back into it. Probably like a lot of people in 2016 with the release of Pokemon Go.
Mhm.
I remember I was doing YouTube for actually, I probably had just started YouTube for about a year, because I actually had a YouTube channel before I started my Pokemon channel. And I used to go to gaming events. And at these gaming events in the UK, they would have some stalls that sold like collectible card TCGs, just games and stuff like that. And I remember seeing a Generations box, the Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, and Pikachu one they did.
Mhm.
And I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, like I haven't opened a Pokemon pack in ages. Bought a Charizard box, opened it up, and I think there was the Radiant collection, which had the Mega Charizard. And I was like, oh my god! Like as soon as you hit that card again, it's like I need to get back into this. Like I
You're
miss
hooked
this
again.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also there was Evolutions as well, which obviously was the reprint of base set.
Base set, yeah.
Um, and I just remember getting that feeling again of opening those packs that I used to open as a kid. And I started getting casually back into it. I wouldn't say I was completely back into it.
Mhm.
I just remembered buying a few things of those and then opening them and thinking, oh, that was fun. I might get some next time. But then I would say in the set that actually really brought me back was probably Hidden Fates in 2019. That's when my friend Randolph, or Randolph Pokemon, he was started his channel and he was posting a lot of videos around Hidden Fates, and we actually did a video together.
Mm.
And I was just talking to him and I was like, yeah, do you know what? I really want to do this because I love Pokemon as well, and this was really fun.
Makes sense.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I love making content as well, so I might give this a go. And he was like, "Yeah, do it." I did it for a little bit, but I didn't stay consistent with it because I still had other YouTube channels and I was streaming at the time as well, so I didn't really have the main focus or time for it. And
Right.
then in the end of 2021, I thought, "Do you know what? I'm going to be serious with this. I love Pokemon. I actually want to do this properly, put effort, time, all that kind of consistency into it, and I'm going to really try and give this a go." And from then, I've gotten a lot more serious with collecting, making content. I mean, me and Chloe have been doing crazy trips recently,
Yeah,
which has
you guys
been
have been
so
going
much
all
fun.
over the place.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like, but that's the thing. It's like half the time it's not even planned. Like that's what I love is
Right.
because I'd say I'm a very creative person. I like being spontaneous, and if there's something cool that's going to happen, I want to get involved and I want to give it a go and just see what happens. So some really fun things have led along the way, and hopefully that this is just the beginning of it. I mean, I've been doing it for like 2 years now, just coming up for 2 years, I guess. And I've been loving every bit of it.
Yeah, that's actually honestly really cool to hear. I think I relate kind of heavy to the Game Boy story. I remember my dad buying my Game Boy Color for me, and then buying me my silver version. I just remember being hooked on it, and
Oh
then
yeah.
having them buy me the Game Boy Light that just killed the crap out of your battery. And so like
Yeah.
I would have it in the car, and then like I would use it a couple of times, and after that I was just like, you know what, screw this Game Boy Light. Like it's killing me on these long trips. So I would just like sit really close to my Game Boy.
Yeah,
My mom would get so pissed because I was so
you had to
close.
tilt it at a certain angle to get like just some sunlight
Yeah,
on it.
yeah,
It
or
was
like moonlight on it. Yeah, and it
yeah,
was one of
yeah.
those things where I just remember distinctively that I would just get in trouble just because I was sitting too close to my Game Boy, or just holding it too close, or just staying up too late, and sneaking my Game Boy Color in bed with me at night and just having my blanket over me while playing the game. I just remember being so hooked to it. And then I
Yeah.
also relate to not collecting Neo because I kind of stopped around that point as well. And I switched over to Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually. I switched over to
Oh,
Yu-Gi-Oh! For a little
sweet.
bit. And then I just kind of stopped collecting cards around like third or fourth grade. And typically over here, I think right around that time, like people like kids around that age are starting to get more focused into sports in the middle school time,
Oh,
and I think a lot more people. I think that was like the main emphasis for a lot of people. So people would just stop collecting cards as a whole, but I think there was a lot of people that were still playing the video games. I think that's one thing that was pretty prevalent here in the States. People play the video games even all the way up till high school. Like I played the games all the way up till high school, and then college I just stopped.
yeah.
Um, and then I just kind of found myself back into it. But that's really cool. Like, do you find your friendship with Chloe, a unhealthy one in the sense that you guys make each other want to buy more and more Pokemon cards?
Yeah, I would probably say that. I mean, it's been fun, but there are some times where we probably just look at each other and think, "What are we doing?" But I literally always say to her, "We're here for a good time, not a long time. So,
That's true.
let's just make the most of it and let's just do some crazy stuff." So, yeah, but that's an interesting you mentioned the sports cards because I don't think we really had that. We obviously
No, not
we
sports
don't
cards. It was
collect.
like actually like participating in sports. More kids are like focused on
Oh,
sports because it's like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I want to be athletic. I want to do
I
X,
get
Y, and
you.
Z. Parents want
Yeah,
their
yeah.
kids to be more involved in school in that kind of capacity. So it was just more along the lines of that. Like we did have like Xbox, PlayStation, stuff like that. And I think a lot of kids transitioned over to that to play like Call of Duty, Halo, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I
No, the
wasn't one of
sports
those
thing
kids
makes
until a lot
sense.
later. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think I think that's kind of like I think it's very similar. I don't think there's too much differences right there, but I think it's like very similar in that regard.
Yeah.
Um, I guess what I wanted to say next after that was when you got back into Pokemon and you started taking things very seriously, what became what was your focus with collecting? Because I know like when you first start collecting, I think the at like it's such an undaunting task, like starting out, right? It's like,
Yeah.
man, like, am I ever going to have this card? Like, you see other people with these cards, it's like, man, am I ever going to have this card? Am I ever going to have this card? Or like, how long will it take to acquire X, Y, and Z before this? Like, and I think, if you were someone that got involved in the hobby in 2019 leading up to like anytime before like 2018 leading up to 2020 before the boom. It was like, man, like, am I ever going to have this card? Am I ever going to have like my favorite cards from back when I was a kid? Because like at that point, it's like a lot of people thought it was going to be pretty impossible, right? Like we saw increases in price points across the board, and it's like, am I ever going to have this card? So I guess my question to you is like, what's the focal point of your collection? Like, how do you collect? Because I know some people, they collect like strictly Noivern cards. I know some people collect strictly plushies. Like when you look at buying a card and how it fits with your collection, I want to know how it fits in with your collection. How does collecting, like, how do you view collecting, and how does it fit with you?
So I think to touch on a bit about what you were saying a little bit just before the question of like what started and what do I start collecting. Like I think
Mm,
what a lot of people do when getting back into the hobby is they go for the sets that they remember the most. So for
mhm,
instance, for me, I wanted to get a complete base set, Team Rocket set, Jungle set, Fossil set because I grew up on those. And then from that, I started to expand my knowledge because as I mentioned, there was a big gap of sets and eras
getting
that
play catch up.
I didn't know about. I
Hmm.
literally didn't even know existed because I just wasn't collecting at the time. So for instance, I started going on is it Pokelector, where you can see all of the sets, and I was just going through every single one and just seeing which ones I resonated with the most. And I can remember vividly that there was Secret Wonders and Supreme Victors. I actually have a box right behind me.
Yeah.
Um, because there was just some incredible, not only artworks, but there were just a lot of Pokemon that I resonated with. So my favorite Pokemon are Charizard, Mew, and Mewtwo. They're my top three. And for instance, Secret Wonders it is so Gen 1 heavy and it has so many bangers that are just so cool. So I looked at that and I thought I have to get that. And that's actually how I met Pokey Chloe, was through that. I actually bought a set off her off eBay.
Mm.
And we started talking from then. And I bought Supreme Victors as well, which is really cool. So that. And then in terms of like how I gauge what I want to collect and stuff like that, obviously, as I was speaking to you before we hit record or start stream, is that Charizard's my favorite Pokemon. I would love to
Same.
own every single Charizard, but it is a daunting task. As we know, it's the
Very.
most popular and very expensive Pokemon to collect. And I think at the moment, if I can add one to the collection, then brilliant. But it's not only just a certain card that I collect. I like to collect some sets, um, and I like to just dabble in a bit of sealed as well. I like having some sealed products of some really cool sets that I just like the look of. For instance, I would love to have a Crystal Guardians booster box. I think the art and the color and just everything about that box looks amazing. Um, but I can see it being a daunting task because, as you mentioned, there are some cards that even when you start beginning to collect, and even now, like right now, I am like, how the hell am I going to get this card? As I mentioned, I saw a PSA 10 Skyridge Crystal Charizard at the London Card Show yesterday. It's like
Yeah.
£10,000. It's like I'm still there. Like, how am I ever gonna? Like, I need that card for my collection, but how the
Yeah.
hell am I going to get that? So I still have that, and maybe one day something will happen that will allow me to add that to my collection. But I think the cool thing that by doing what I do is that I get to experience seeing these cards in person and seeing stories and holding them and kind of getting close to them, I guess, even if it's not holding it or owning it myself. I get to kind of just be around and get to see these awesome cards because like that's half of the fun, just having a good time and just seeing amazing collections and stuff like that. So
I think
yeah,
I think
it's still
that
daunting.
yeah, I think that is I think you brought up like I think you touched on like something important, you know. Excuse me. Uh being involved in the hobby, especially after the pandemic, you're able to travel a little bit more, you're able to go to all these different shows. I've been able to experience handling a lot of these cards that I've
Oh
never had
yeah.
in my collection, or I never would have thought I've had in my collection, or never probably never will have in my collection. Never say never, but like as of right now, it's not gonna happen anytime soon. And so like just being able to live vicariously through a lot of people and just handling a lot of these cards and just hearing the stories behind it and all that, I think that kind of I think that kind of saturates, not saturates yourself, but it kind of fulfills yourself in a way. Like it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is the card right here, and it kind of like brings it to home a little bit more in the sense that it's like, okay, cool. this is a card right here. I don't need to have it immediately. Eventually I'll have it, you know?
Yeah.
I like there's so many times where I've like dealt with like trophy cards before, and it's like, man, I would love to have a trophy card one day in my collection. And it's like it seems impossible, and but it really isn't impossible. It's just a matter of time, really. But
there's also cards that you probably have handled that you wanted at one point, and now you've handled it. You go, oh, do you know what? I actually don't mind not owning that. Like, I'd rather this card.
Yeah, very true. Like there's cards that I've previously had in my collection before that I've given up or traded, and you know I had my time and I had my peace with it, or you know with grading or middlemanning or anything of the sort. I mean I've dealt with that card and I've had my experience with it, and I think that's like I think the story of me just having it or holding on to it is more than enough for me. Until I like say like, hey, I really want this card, then it's a different story. But I totally get it.
Yeah.
I want to switch over to, you know, the content side of things, right? We talked about your focus in terms of collecting. Actually, I want to talk about one more thing before we switch over to that. So you mentioned that you're an anime fan. I want to know your top 5 fan favorite and like your top 5 favorite anime. And
okay,
I'll have a follow up question after that.
Okay, cool. Are we like is Pokemon anime, right?
Yeah, we can consider that one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I probably won't add that because it's just, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna add that one. But for me, my top 5 anime. See, I'm actually relatively new into getting into anime. I started properly. I was a Dragon Ball Z diehard fan. No other anime is beating it for the last up until the last 2 years. You're
a can it beat Goku though guy.
Yeah, exactly. So nothing is beating Dragon Ball Z, and I was such a strong fan that I wouldn't even watch any other anime because I was like, it's not going to be better. But yeah, so Dragon Ball Z's top 1 for me, just for the childhood memories. I just watch it 5 p.m. every day after school. Teen Gohan, my favorite character of all time. I still need to see this new movie, so no spoilers, but like I can't wait for that one. But DBZ number 1, 2, Attack on Titan. Absolutely love AOT. 3, I'm gonna go for My Hero Academia.
Wow.
But I've still not finished that. I'm really enjoying that. And then 4, I'm gonna go for Yu-Gi-Oh. I've started rewatching that again. And it's actually like you said, you got into Yu-Gi-Oh. I am holding myself back to not start collecting Yu-Gi-Oh,
dude,
bro.
That show made me buy so much cards,
bro. I started series 1 and 2, I think, or it might have just been 1, is now on Netflix. I was watching that, and I was there going, I need a Blue Eyes, I need a Dark Magician, I need everything.
Do not want the show will literally make you buy cards.
Literally. So that's number 4, and then 5. I'm probably missing one out that I really liked. But I really liked Full Metal Alchemist. That was pretty
love
fun
that.
To watch. Yeah, that was fun.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is like my number one.
I need to watch Vinland Saga is apparently great, really good. Oh wait, Demon Slayer. No, Demon Slayer's got to get in there.
Yeah.
Demon Slayer's got to be in there somehow. Season 2 was so good. But yeah, I need to watch Vinland Saga, Hunter x Hunter as well. I've been suggested some good ones, but I need to get onto.
Oh, dude, if you need a recommendation list, I have a full blown recommendation list of anime to watch. Like,
I need that.
just a lot. It's a lot. Like on my free time, if I'm not playing like Fortnite with 100 Charizards or Don Diego or Jordan Fringe, I'm typically watching anime. So I've been a diehard anime fan since I was a kid, so I can relate heavy to that. And I was gonna that was gonna lead me to my next question. I feel like, the more and more involved you are with the hobby, I feel like you cross a lot of things off your collecting goals. And so I was gonna ask, do you ever see yourself collecting cards from those specific anime franchises? Like they do have My Hero Academia cards. They do have. I don't know if does Demon Slayer have cards? I think they might.
I think
Attack on Titan has Weiss Schwartz cards. They have those. They're and Yu-Gi-Oh. Do you ever see yourself collecting which out of those anime, if you were to start collecting cards, would you start collecting cards first?
Well, to tell you the truth, I have all of them basically.
Oh,
So
okay.
as a kid, I
Okay.
had the first edition Blue Eyes. It's not in the greatest of conditions, but I had like the starter deck cards. So like the original Blue Eyes, Dark Magician. They're all in just a childhood binder. I have. You spoke of My Hero. I bought two of the first sets. And it's not just to start collecting. So as you mentioned at the beginning about Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super cards is probably my next after Pokemon. I actually own a lot of the cards.
Okay.
But what I have started to do, obviously, as you probably know yourself, that it can get, even collecting a one TCG is expensive. But as soon as
Yeah.
you start dabbling to other ones, it almost becomes near impossible unless you're very, very well off.
Yeah.
So what I do is I like to just buy the first of that anime, or as definitely minimum the first, and if not, if I still have some spare money, I'll try and add to it. But
Do you
because
do
I
you
just because I believe in that anime so much,
right. Like these are strong
so
franchises. Yeah.
yeah, so I
Do
have
you ever see Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I have My Hero, Digimon, the latest Digimon,
Okay.
not the original, Dragon Ball, AOT. I think that's about it. They're the main ones. If Demon Slayer gets one, I'll probably try and get that. But yeah,
Do
and
you ever see
no, I
yourself
don't own any Yu-Gi-Oh boxes actually. So
You need to get that first. You need to get the LOB box, man.
I do, bro.
Yeah, I think right now, like where prices have significantly gone down, it's been a great time for like myself as a collector to buy um like cards. And I've never really been a box collector, or like a sealed pack collector. I
Yeah,
don't know why, but I wanted to
I'm the
ask.
same.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Do you ever see yourself collecting like Dragon Ball Z scorecards?
I don't think so. I remember I had a few as a kid, but I just love the latest ones. Just the
Hmm.
artworks are incredible. If I'm being totally honest, I think Dragon Ball Super artworks just smash every other TCG out the park. There was a certain time of some sets where it's not so great, but I just love the artwork of Dragon Ball, and I can relate to it as well because I watch it religiously,
Yeah.
and I have all the games just like Pokemon. But yeah, I just feel like the older stuff, I don't relate to it in any sort of way. The only reason I relate to the latest Dragon Ball set, other than loving it, is because I got in on it when it first started, and I
Makes
was
sense.
excited that it came back. So I feel like that's my relationship to that set, is because I've just grown with it.
Hmm.
Whereas the other stuff, I didn't know about it as much, so I just
Right.
don't really have an affection for it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think you know, being able to buy the things that heavily relate to what you're currently watching or how you grew up with it, I think that's important. Like I think you make a lot of your if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you make a lot of your decisions when it comes to collecting and buying cards if it relates to a certain portion of your nostalgia. If it's not,
Yep.
it 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 might have not to do with the rarity or how expensive it is. If it's not relating to that level of nostalgia, you're probably not buying it. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
and
So,
that makes
for
sense.
instance, to touch on that, in the Dragon Ball Super cards, obviously you have your secret rares, which are the most rare ones. And for me, some of the more important cards are cards that are artworks or scenes from the anime, and they
Yeah.
might. I have a strong feeling that they would probably be one of the more valuable cards in the future. But not only that, it's just because there's the Goku to go further beyond, which is the moment he's just turned Super Saiyan 3. It's literally a rare card. It's not even as SPR, SR, or SCR. It's just
Mm.
I think it's just a rare card. Um, but I feel like that is such a more iconic card because it's the moment he first turned Super Saiyan 3
Yeah,
that.
actually, that's a Grail card in Dragon Ball Z Score.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh, mad. Yeah.
yeah,
So those are the sort of things where I'm thinking, not only do I relate to it, I think a lot of other people are going to relate to it, and it just has an actual meaning behind it, other than a secret rare that just looks really cool.
right.
But
Do you
that's
ever
just
see
me.
yourself buying like trophy cards from Dragon Ball?
I actually at the London Card Show, I nearly bought two judge cards,
Huh.
but I didn't in the end. But trophies, I don't know. No, for Dragon Ball, I'm not too sure because the thing that's cool about Pokemon trophies is that they're different artworks. If I'm not mistaken, for Dragon Ball, it's the same artwork. It just says like trophy on it or something, right? Oh no, wait, there's the metal ones, isn't there? Are you talking
Yeah.
about those ones?
Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. I mean, if they ever came across, I think I would be tempted, but it would have to be a certain one of a character that I like. I wouldn't
Right.
get a trophy card. I think there's a
Zamasu, yeah,
remember.
one.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
think there's
Zamasu
that
one. There's another one with Vegeta and Goku, I believe.
So I'd go for that one over the
Yeah.
Zamasu one.
Yeah.
But in trophies, I do kind of want to dabble a little bit, but Worlds is next month, right?
That's
entered
right.
the TCG London Open that's going to be happening there, and I'm going to just see how far I can go. And
Okay.
it'd be pretty cool if I got far enough to get like a card, because not only would it be a cool trophy card in a sense, even if it's the one that says like round 32 or whatever. I don't even know if this is going to do them, but the cooler thing is like I actually won that myself, which would be really cool to collect. So yeah, I like the Pokemon trophy cards. I think they're really cool. But we were talking about it on our podcast. They're just such a different niche that
it's a different breed.
There's so many different niches in one TCG that you can go for. It's just crazy.
I know. I don't have any trophy cards. One day I will. But I know all about, like the different rabbit holes that Pokemon has as far as cards go and how far you can take it, like just buying like niche things that just pop up. Like I just saw something super niche because 100 Charizard sent me a link to it. And I'm like, man, that's actually really cool. And so like I might buy it here soon. And that's one thing.
Your toys are sick.
Thanks, man.
Toys,
thanks, man.
They're like the shiny Charizard, bro. That is so cool. I was actually speaking to my friend Viv at London, and he mentioned you and your toys. And I was like, yeah, that's like such a cool thing. And I remember did you have I think you posted not too long ago, the pinball machine? Was it the pinball machine?
Right up here, actually. It's right up here, yeah.
That, I remember playing that in my living room. And it was just the best.
I actually, right here, let me grab it real fast. Yeah, so when I bought it, I still kept this. And I bought it back in 2020. And the person who sold it to me on eBay, they sent me a note, which was like super nice of them to do. They said thank you, and I think they got this wrong because like obviously it's not that old, but they said thank you very much for your purchase. This has been sitting on my shelf for nearly 25 years. It's probably been sitting there for 20 years. Hope you enjoy it. And they like left their like little initials and signature. I thought that was really cool. So I've kept it ever since I've gotten the toy, and I think like this actually like is really cool because like. It's like a level of provenance, but not really. It's like, oh, this has been sitting on their shelf for so long, and to me, it's like, man, how many more people are out there that just have things just sitting there, just collecting dust, and it's just.
I want to know. Really cool. I want to know and don't want to know at the same time because there must be some gold mines out there of collections that we don't know about.
Yes. A good example is this. So, I wish I'll probably go back over there and shoot some content with the guy, but it was last week. I had my buddy, well, he's not really my buddy per se, but like he's from my hometown that I currently live in, and he's a couple years younger than me, so he's friends with my best friend's little brother because they played baseball together. He had just recently started getting back into card collecting. He said, Shiv, I just bought like a massive Pokemon card collection because he also collects sports cards too. He bought it for $1,500 and it's like, hey, could you like come over here and check this out? And I said, sure. A few weeks prior to that, he said, Shiv, I think I found a first edition Shadowless Charizard card. And I'm like, there's no way. And so like he sends a picture of it to me, and unfortunately it was fake. And so like I'm like, yeah, man. It's like he's like, dang it, that's what I figured. And then he's like, yeah, the lady, one of the cards that came in the collection, some of the cards were fake. Because she was just buying cards, like bulk, like massive amounts of collections in bulk. And so like essentially the story is she used to buy Pokemon cards with her son before her son passed away, and she just kept collecting even after her son passed away. And so she eventually just sold all of those Pokemon cards to this guy because she's like, yeah, I don't think this is possible to finish every single set. So she had pretty much sets completed from base set, some of first edition, but first edition all the way up to, I want to say, Plasma Storm. She had every set almost completed. Some of the sets weren't completed as a whole, but like she had every set. It's like I went over there to check out what he had, and like a lot of this stuff was like pretty much beat up. But like there's some stuff that like if like for $1,500, you're talking about every set and like multiple
Yeah.
like she even had like multiples of one set completed, and I'm like, holy crap, this is a lot. And like we found some really really cool cards. Some were beat up, but like we found a Call of Legends Lugia in there. We found and I'm like, man, if that was a mint condition, I like,
Yeah.
dude. As soon as I flipped over that page, I was like, oh man, this is sick.
But that's the as a collector, that's like almost half of the fun, right? Is that chase
Right.
of finding those hidden gems.
It's like a treasure hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, like I obviously the difference between the UK and America is that America's like 50 times bigger than the UK. So
It
even
is.
state to state, there must be multiple gems to be found. Whereas England, there's so many people that are probably doing the same thing now
It's
that
tapped out.
it's all tapped out. Like
Yeah.
everyone's got everything. But yeah, man, like those sort of things where you come across those sort of collections, it's like, oh my god! And all it takes is one card to make back what you paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's in good condition and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
He had a decent amount of like base set Zards in there, and I said like one of them I think looked like a PSA 8 or 9. I was like, hey man, like that could actually grade relatively well.
Yeah.
That's worth getting grading. He's like, hey, how do you like tell what's worth grading and what's not worth grading? Because I've been watching a lot more of your content as of late. I'm like, that's kind of weird that like someone that I've known for like so long is like watching my content. But
Yeah,
in a
but
way, it's
as
kind of
long as
cool.
Yeah, no, but you're providing information.
Information,
or
yeah.
like
I think that's like the
service to
biggest thing.
people.
Yeah.
So,
But kind of switching back over to you, I totally forgot about wanting to bring this up because I feel like things are moving so fast. It's not even funny this year. It's just crazy.
I know,
So
man.
you mentioned Worlds, and Worlds is quickly coming up, and it's in the UK. It's in the UK. It's in London. It's in London specifically.
Yep.
Are you ready for that? Are you prepared for like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people just showing up and just like are you going to be like around a lot of people and just showing them like around the stomping grounds of like what London has to offer as far as like food goes, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely excited. Like, obviously, this is the first Worlds outside of America, first time in London, which has been postponed for the last 2 years.
2 years.
I feel like there's a lot of like hype around it. A lot of people have been waiting for this.
I wish I could
And I'm as excited as just any other person, right? Because I've never experienced the Worlds before, and
Same.
not especially one that's not in our back garden. So I'm absolutely buzzing for it. I'm excited to see what they have in store. There's going to be obviously a Pokemon Center exclusive, hopefully, which will have some exclusive stuff. I'm excited to see what sort of those items are going to be inside there. Like, it'll be really cool to try and pick it up some stuff. I remember we had a pop-up shop, so because we've only recently just got a Pokemon Center website.
So you guys had a pop-up shop a few years ago.
Yeah, and I was like, right, I'll go on the last day because surely everyone who wanted to go would have been by now. I got there 15 minutes early before it opened, and there was a 5-hour queue, and I wasn't able to get in. So that's how it's like. It's so weird in the UK because there is so much love for Pokemon, but it just feels like Pokemon either don't realize or they're only just starting to realize because we've just got the website. But it's like, if you had a store, it would be busy every day. I'm almost certain. But yeah, I'm very excited for Worlds. Like I said, I'm entering the TCG tournament because I do play it a little bit. And I think it'd just be cool, just an experience to play a TCG tournament at the first ever Worlds in London. But I'm excited to meet many people. I know some creators are coming over. Hopefully just a lot of Pokemon fans as well. And like you mentioned, hopefully just meet some of our viewers because it's always amazing just meeting people that kind of connect with you and watch your stuff. And it's just nice to see them and see how they're doing and stuff like that. And just sharing that experience and moment with them.
Yeah, I'm sure like the UK scene, like the relationship to viewer to YouTuber is a lot different versus what it is here. Like I feel like really really big YouTubers are like basically seen as celebrities in the UK because like there really is no Hollywood in the UK.
Yeah.
So I feel like
have you seen Logan Paul and KSI when they came to
Yeah, I saw that. That was
crazy.
Massive. That was crazy. Drink Prime.
Yeah.
Not sponsored.
Yeah. It's nice. It tastes nice. I've tried it.
I love it. I love it. It's expensive, but I love it.
It is. They're almost seen as celebrities over here, just because, like you said, we don't have those Hollywood superstars. And I think it's just the new generation, right? Like YouTubers that are the big guys, they are, you might as well put, they might as well be the equivalent to big movie stars, because
Mm,
people watch them every day and there's
yeah,
millions of people. So
yeah.
yeah, looking forward to it, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm really pumped to see like what kind of videos you put out, during that week, and just like the stories, and just I would love to just have someone like yourself come back on the podcast, just kind of
Oh
talk
yeah,
about your
definitely.
experience at Worlds, because I think that would be really cool. Because like unfortunately I can't go. Reason being is just because that's the same weekend as
I
Collecticon,
know. Yeah, I
and
heard.
I was talking to Don Diego about it. This was like right after you guys had just visited her. It's like you got Chloe, and you guys just got done visiting her, and Chloe was
Yeah.
like basically Laura and Chloe indirectly were trying to convince me to go to the UK, and it's like, man, I want to go and just hang out with you guys because I think you guys are awesome, and I'm just such big fans of you guys. That it's like it'd be really cool just to like get shown around London and stuff like that. And like
Yeah.
I have family out there too, and so it's like
Oh,
proper
sweet.
London, and I would love to go visit them, and because like I haven't seen them in like 4 years now, and
Well, worlds or
one,
not, man, you should
yeah,
come over, dude. Just come
I
if you want
do
to see
I
the
do
family.
yeah, I do. It would be really cool, like because like I have an aunt out over there, and like when I was a kid, she used to bring like candy from London, and that
Oh,
that was like the coolest thing. It's like I don't really have like the biggest sweet tooth there is, but like when she brought it over, I was like, man, the candy from London is so good. Like actual like candy shops with like
yeah, they're
good
decent.
candy, like they're great. And so that's one thing I would love to go visit London, because I haven't been in the UK ever. I've been in India, I've been in Mexico, I've been in Canada, but I've never been in London. So like that's something I do want to do. I want to be able to experience the Pokemon scene internationally. So
Yeah.
I think like based on the trajectory that I currently have in terms of what I got going on, I might be able to do that next year. Just I won't be able to do it this year. Maybe at the very latest, maybe in the winter. But as
Yeah.
of right now, I can't do it just because Collecticon just has a lot of my responsibilities tied up, and I want to be able to work with them properly, and just build a good footing, build a solid foundation that I have been for the past year, with them.
Yeah, it's just bad timing, which is
It
slightly
is.
annoying, because it would have been great to get everyone in one place at
Everyone,
one
yeah,
time, but it just isn't meant to be. But like,
yeah,
hopefully next year, wherever Worlds will be, it'll be interesting to see if they go back to America, or by the looks of it, it looks like they're locating the Worlds based around the games, because obviously Sword and Shield is based around England. I
hmm,
think Scarlet and Violet's based around Spain. So it'll be interesting to see if Worlds is in Spain next year, if
yeah,
they're doing it that way.
yeah.
But regardless, hopefully, like just next year, everyone
Spain
will
would
be
be
able to meet, because
sick.
yeah, it'll be really cool. So like, I think it's a really good opportunity to go and meet everyone, and hopefully everyone can be in one spot. And then I still really want to experience an American event, because apparently you guys just do it crazy, and by the looks of it, you guys absolutely do it crazy. So
Yeah,
I want to
it's a
experience that.
whole different experience here, I
Yeah,
think. But yeah, I think cuz like I know a lot of shows are just different. I think like Pokemon based shows are vastly different than your normal typical card show. Cuz
yeah,
like you go to a sports card convention, there's nothing crazy really happening. It's just more so like consumer to vendor type of thing, and you're just walking around. If there might be a few people doing signings here and there, but it's just much more low key, very mellow. It's not as crazy as like let's say a Collecticon is, or any other like startup TCG convention is. Um,
yeah,
or like I think like card conventions now are starting to emulate a little bit more like a Comic Con or like an anime con, stuff like that. So like I see a lot more cosplay happening. I see
yeah.
so many different like TCGs happening. But um before I want to talk about, are you still buying Pokemon cards? I want to switch over to the main topic for this actual podcast, and then after that, we're going to talk about the last topic, which is like your future in this hobby. What would you like to do in this hobby? What's the direction of your content? What type of content are you actually producing? If you have any advice or people out there, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And obviously advice when it comes to collecting Pokemon cards. Like, what are your tips and tricks as far as that goes? So obviously, like right now, we're definitely I think like the past 3 years, Pokemon has just had like it's been a whirlwind in Pokemon. Like there's so many highs and so many lows and so many high. Like it never really changes. And I think based on the content that I've been producing for a while now, there's obviously a lot of Pokemon investment based channels. I wouldn't consider us that. I'd say like we're much more value based. I don't think we're really telling people to invest in any particular thing per se. But I will say that there's been so many different projections, so many different talks about X, Y, and Z. Pokemon is strong, Pokemon is falling off, stuff like that. And right now we're just in a weird time where Pokemon is starting to has definitely reverted to prices, around 2019 prices. Like there's a lot of cards that have reverted back to that original price point. Now there's some cards that are very, very price resistant in terms of change. Obviously you mentioned the PSA 10 Skyward Charizard. That has not changed in value tremendously at all. There's cards like that has not changed. And I just kind of want to talk about, because of where it's been a lot more difficult for people to collect, what do you think they should do? Like how do you think they should change things up? Or with prices, definitely coming down for a lot of cards out there for a lot of people that want to be able to collect. How would you say is like the best way to enter the market? Because, obviously like the main point is to collect what you love, but like, how would you tell, like if you were telling younger you, that was entering the hobby, what to do right now, what would you tell younger you?
It's a weird, we're in a weird bit of a situation at the moment, right? Because obviously prices are low, but as you mentioned, like recession and inflation, like everything is the cost of living's going up. So even though cards may seem to be cheaper, it also is harder to acquire, reason to buy, right? Because your bills have gone up, your electricity or whatnot. So for me, I don't know. I think like don't pressure yourself to own a card because these cards are going to be around forever. And I think what we've noticed is that the prices, whether they go up or go down, really depend on like world situations. So it's a little bit tough to predict. Obviously, you're never going to know what's like in a year's time. Maybe they've gone up in price or maybe they've halved in price. I think you just have to stay true to yourself and be comfortable with whatever you're willing to spend. Budget out. Say you make £100 a month or whatever. I don't know what age we're talking about here, but say make 100 just to be easy, and you want to just budget £10, or $10. Just be happy with that and make sure that you can live with spending that amount of money. Don't ever go over just because you think that it's you need that card right away, because that card's always going to be there. Correct. There's going to be opportunities to buy, because that's one thing I've noticed recently is that you may think it's really hard to get certain things, but there is actually a lot more out there than you think. And sometimes being patient is key. And I feel like a lot of people, including myself at sometimes, has been very impulsive and just like bought just for the sake of it. I even do it now. Sometimes someone will present me with something. I feel like I need to get it just because it's in front of me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Realistically, sometimes I should take a more logical approach.
Yeah, it's the collector in you. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really hard question to answer because everyone's different, right? Everyone's in different situations. But I would just say be patient, be logical. Don't try not to think emotionally, because logical always will be a smarter choice. And just be happy with the amount you're parting with to buy that card. Just make sure you're happy with it. Don't buy it and then go, oh, do you know what? I really wish I didn't buy this. I need to sell it now because I'm actually in trouble. So yeah, I guess that's the best advice I can get. I'm not the best person, but
no. I think you hit that right. I think essentially living within your means is essentially what you're saying, right? Like don't go beyond that, right? Because the moment you go beyond that, that's when problems actually happen. If you have a budget of, let's say, $10 and you want to buy, let's say, a base set Charizard, obviously you're not gonna be able to buy base set Charizard right away. And you can either impulsively buy the card and then, be screwed over for the next few weeks because it's like, hey, I have to pay X, Y, and Z off, when you could have just waited 4 or 5 weeks to be able to save up and then acquire the card in any sort of like in a, let's say, lightly played or heavily played condition. I think that's something that people really need to kind of go back to. And another big thing is that you touched on was patience. Patience is something that it's tough to really tell another collector to be patient, because it's like, I
Yeah.
want this now. There's a lot of impulsivity that's within the hobby itself, and that's with every hobby. It's so easy to be impulsive, right? Like
Yeah.
you open up Instagram and you'll see 5 different things that you want to absolutely have in your collection, and then you open up eBay almost immediately, and it's like, dang, I got this, let me get this now, and then you're kind of screwing yourself over, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so like I think you kind of hit that like really really well. Um, do you, for you yourself specifically right now, I know that
Yep.
you're in a different position versus like, let's say most of the like typically more than your average person. Are you taking advantage of what's currently taking place right now and buying a lot more Pokemon cards or more Pokemon product, or are you kind of just like taking a much more relaxed approach and just seeing how things go and just buying things at your own pace? How are you managing through all of this right now?
So it's a bit of a weird situation for me, and I was saying this to Chloe, and we
Mm,
both have the same sort of mentality of that. Since starting our YouTube, and maybe the same for you, really, since starting content creation, it's really hard to balance out personal and business decisions in terms of collections, because I could go buy a base set box for myself and just keep it sealed, but
correct.
then that's just X amount of money sitting on my shelf,
Correct.
when I could buy an X base box, do it for content, and then hopefully grow my YouTube channel and stuff like that. So it's really hard to balance between buying stuff for me, and I do it. I've actually just bought something a couple of months ago for myself, which was nice. But in the back of my mind, whenever I'm wanting to buy something, I'm thinking, I could buy this for X amount, but I could also use X amount of money for my YouTube channel and try and help grow my business and my brand.
Yeah.
So it's very, very hard to distinguish what to do in that sort of regards, just because I could buy all this stuff for myself, but then I'm just sitting on a load of stuff, when realistically I wanna be growing my stuff and using that investment to be growing my brand and stuff like that. So I don't
No,
know.
yeah.
It's very hard.
No,
But
I fully agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, I do try and buy stuff every now and then. Like, for instance, I bought a Gold Star Charizard in a PSA 6, which
Hell
was
yeah.
still quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted a Gold Star, and it was at a point where I thought, you know what, I've been doing pretty well recently. I can afford this, so
Yeah,
let me
treat
buy
yourself.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a different one. It's a different one for me, being a content creator. It's very hard to balance it. But I do try and try and buy some stuff for myself every now and then.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's sort of the same thing for me. Like I'll have money to spend, and it's like, oh, do I want a new desk for my new studio? Like for my
Yeah.
studio, like when like I've been always wanting, like for the past 3 years, I've been saying like, hey, I want to revamp the studio, and it's been like this for the past 3 years. It's like the setup's been the same. It's like, hey, do I finally want to use this money to buy this? And then something really, I hate opening up eBay, because every time I open up eBay and I have the money for something, there's always something really cool that drops. And it goes back to what you
It's
said as well. Like, right? These cards are always going to be here. It might not seem as if, you're losing this opportunity to get on a good deal. No, that's not true. Like, 3 years ago, there was first edition Shadowless Charizard cards on the market. And then 3 years later today, there's still first edition Shadowless Charizard cards on the market. The only difference
exactly.
is the price point, right? Now, there
Yep.
are collectibles that, if you're someone who collects things outside of the cards like myself, yeah, you kind of have to hop on the opportunity to be able to buy that item almost immediately, because chances are you're probably not going to see it anytime soon. And I'm not saying it's going
Mm,
to be impossible, but I'm just saying anytime soon you're not going to see it, because once it's off the market, you have diehard collectors out there that will not ever piece with it. And I'm talking about
yeah.
like figures of some pieces. I'm talking about like even vintage expired Pokemon food, displays from movies, stuff like that. Like you're not ever going to find again. And so like you kind of have to take advantage of the situation. Or with certain sealed product from different like franchises, stuff like that. That's something that you kind of have to take account of. But like if it like when you're sitting there, I think it's the biggest thing is like you kind of have to ask yourself, like, is this going to ever show up again? Like, is this card going to be around 5 years from now? Like, is this still going to be in the market? And so like The answer is typically with Pokemon, it's going to be available. It might like the prices might be different, but it's still there. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you can't save up for it, right? Like if you have like let's say $80 to spend in terms of disposable income, then you can always put back $20 behind for something in the future, you know? And
And
to the point where
sorry to interrupt. The
oh,
other
go ahead.
thing is also you could say you had £80. If you use that £80 in like upgrading your computer or whatever, in 2 years' time, you might go from making $80 a month or week to $500 a month, and then it'd be a lot
Correct.
easier to buy that
Yeah,
thing you wanted so much. So
absolutely.
it's all about the bigger picture. It's very easy to get tunnel vision
Mm-hmm.
and hone in on something, but if you think more logically and figure out what's best to use your money with, it
Mm-hmm.
might help you out in the long run.
Yeah. Like
So
the difference between myself versus like let's say you and Chloe is that you guys do a lot of breaks and stuff like that. I like when I started out in this hobby, right? I started opening up stuff up and and this is something that you guys can kind of like you can give a little bit of advice on. But for me specifically, when I got involved in the hobby early on, you know, I learned the lesson that, and it wasn't a harsh lesson. It was just a lesson that I learned immediately. It was something that I caught on super quick. Was that opening product for the sake of content is very expensive. It is
expensive,
very
very,
expensive. It
very,
doesn't matter
very.
it doesn't matter what set it is. It could be Steam Siege for all I care. It is very 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 expensive to open up
Mm,
product. And when you look at the overall cost of being able to develop a channel, like I think as time progresses, the barrier of entry to get into certain spaces of content is very difficult, right? Like
yeah,
to be able to, well, one to it, like yes, it's not a competition, but in a way you are competing for views in a sense, because like let's say PokeRev has a live up. I'm not gonna have my live up at the same time as Rev does, because a lot of people are gonna watch him versus watch myself. Not saying anything wrong about Nick. Nick is amazing, dude. Love the guy. It's just that in terms of me being able to maximize what I want my channel to do and be able to profit off of it or get X, Y, and Z, um, you kind of have to kind of have to cost average yourself a little bit. You have to like watch your budget. You have to watch what you're doing, and it's like even if you open up a pack, is your content producing enough to be able to open up a pack starting out?
yeah,
Chances are probably not. And so like that's something that I learned very very early on. It's like I told myself I'm not going to open up product for content. Instead, I'll
yeah.
buy product that I think is going to hold a little bit more value, a little bit more merit to, and produce content on that specific product. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of how like I've been collecting. So like in a sense, my personal is my business, because it's like if I buy something, it's going to be immediately on Instagram. It's going to be immediately talked about. There's going to be videos done about it. I can
Yep.
formulate 5 different ways to produce content about it. It's something that I do not plan on selling anytime soon. And that's just sort of the direction I've been kind of doing. But
Yeah.
I think like again, this is just me. This is not for everyone. I think it's just how you tackle the situation. If you kind of do a zoom out of what you do and definitely audit yourself. I think that's like the best thing to possibly do, especially if you are that person who's kind of doing things on a content route. Like if you're someone who is wanting to produce content, or if you're just someone who's just collecting as of sorts. Again, it goes down to like being patient and and
I
living
just
within
think
your means.
Chloe's comment says personal no longer exists.
Yeah, because it's all
Very true.
business. Yeah,
Yeah, literally.
yeah,
No, but I think you hit the nail on the head as well when you said that a lot of people don't realize how expensive, like if you're into content creation, how
hmm
expensive just opening packs is for videos. It's very,
yeah,
very expensive.
yeah.
Sometimes you have to have a bit of capital behind you to be able to like push yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people need to think of other ways of creating content like yourself. Like if you bought one piece of one item, make 5 different pieces of content around it, whether it's for different platforms or
Yeah.
even just different videos. There's a lot of things you can do, and it's just being smart about it, because I had the same experience when I first started. And I think that's what stopped me from getting serious at the very beginning. Of I was just opening up product and I was thinking I'm just
Losing
absolutely
money. Yeah.
spending so much. And you do get lost in it a little bit, and you don't realize until almost at a point where you're like, I'm like in trouble here if I keep
Mm-hmm.
going in this direction, sort of thing. So
There's a lot of people who open up product on social media, and I think things have kind of changed since like 2019 versus what it is now. There's more breaks happening these days.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on break culture and the direction of that in terms of content? It do you think this is as good as it's going to get as far as opening product for content, or do you think that break culture is going to evolve much more drastically here soon?
I'm not too sure, because as you know, like just break culture has just got bigger and bigger and bigger. There's so many people doing it, not even just on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. You've now got the
Whatnot, stuff
likes
like
of
that, yeah.
Whatnot and those sort of platforms. So everyone, it's almost like readily available for anyone. So I assume at some point there is going to be an evolution where something happens that is going to be different because all these people are doing the same thing, right? You need to do something to stand out.
Yeah, to stand out. Yeah.
So I'm assuming at some point that is going to happen. What that is, not too sure. I do see some people doing breaks in different ways. You've got these like pack battle styles and stuff. But I think the reason why this way, or the more common way that we all know, is just the simplicity in it. And I think that people just enjoy. Like if you asked me 5 years ago, would people enjoy box breaks? I would have said no. I wouldn't have
Really?
understood the point on it. Just because
You're
like
opening up a sealed product, yeah.
yeah, and stuff like that, but I now understand it. It's just like it's more of an event, it's more of a get together for the community, all experiencing opening up a box that you could hit multiple or one of the grail cards of that set or whatever, which is just a really really cool experience.
Do
And
you
it's just super super fun.
do you find because like content today is definitely different than what it was back
Yeah.
in 2019, right? Like and I think the reason behind break culture now and why a lot of people are breaking a lot more today is because they realize how expensive the hobby is.
Mm,
d- they realize eventually. And the moment they do realize, it's like, hey, maybe I can start breaking for content. And they start selling product off. And then they realize, like, hey, if I just record myself opening up this pack right here, and this is not my pack, I'm selling it for someone else, that's content. Um,
right.
and so, like, I think that shift has happened. But do you find it, and, I mean, this is definitely a question for you, because you've been involved with numerous amounts of breaks, now, and you've also seen a lot of breaks happen. Myself, I don't do breaks too often. I think the last break I was involved was in Orlando for the $1 million box break, but I don't do breaks too often. But I know you're doing breaks on a consistent basis, and I'm sure you're
Yeah.
watching breaks. How do you remain competitive versus what people are doing outside of because like at the end of the day, people are still comparing yourselves to Whatnot and stuff like that. How do you guys,
Yep.
one, stand out? How do you stand out as someone who is breaking a box? And then two, how do you prevent this level of desensitivity that does happen, that does come with breaking? Because I know for myself, back in 2019 when I watched box breaks or people just breaking boxes just to do, like, people just opening up base set to begin with was a huge event. Unlimited base set, just seeing someone opening up a jungle box or a booster box of something
Yeah.
was an event, and we all tuned into it at the same time. But like now we see base set being opened up all the time.
Once a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not even once a month. I would probably assume maybe once every single week. I see
Probably.
WotC boxes being broken up every single week. And so like
Yeah.
for me it's like, does that not get desensitizing for me as a viewer? The answer is yes. So I kind of want to ask you that question. For you, when you watch it, has it become desensitizing, or when you participate in it, has it become desensitizing? And then three, what was my first one?
The first one was, what do I want to do to stand out from the
Yeah.
box breaks?
Oh, how are you guys like managing to stay on top of things to stand out? And like, how often are you guys changing things up? Because like, I'm sure you talk to Chloe pretty often in the sense of like, what do we need to change up here? I'm sure like those business conversations do come up. It's like, what are we doing different? Stuff like that. How can we keep this more lively? How can we keep this much more engaging? Because at the end of the day, like, you're going to have one person out of that box break who does hit the hit, but there's going to be some people who do buy a lot of those packs who don't necessarily get what they want to hit, and they're just not happy. So like, how do you guys stay on top of things to make sure everyone is happy? And you guys are not only that, but how are you guys making yourselves happy and making sure that the hobby's still very much alive for you? And then two, how do you prevent that level of desensitization?
Desensitivity. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So to stand out, I don't really look at it as standing out as per se. I more want to focus on just making it a great experience for a viewer,
Okay,
as well
that's fair.
as myself. So obviously, like you mentioned, people participating, there are going to be some people that are a little less ecstatic as some people, because obviously not everyone can get the best pack in the
Yeah.
box or whatever. But my main thing is, I just hope when people tune into my streams that we have such a cool community and tight community growing, that you're just gonna have a fun time, whether you're watching, taking part, or whatever. Everyone's welcomed. As long as there's no hate, then it's all good, because it's a safe space where we can just chill for 2 to 4 hours, open some packs, and just talk about stuff. Like, half the time there's jokes going around, I'm falling off my chair, and all sorts of things. So it's more of just like a cool place to hang out for 2 to 4
Mm.
hours 2 times a week. So I don't try and stand out per se. I don't try and do something that's like, it's going to make me stand out. Maybe like the best case scenario would be doing a box that hasn't been done for a while or something, or
Okay.
maybe something that stands out in that sort of sense. But in terms of, I just focus on trying to make it a good time as possible. And it's obviously hard monitoring that while live streaming and doing the box breaks, but you just got to hope that your viewers, your mods, and all that can kind of just welcome people and make it just a really fun, welcoming place to be.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of I can't even say it myself now. Being desensitized to breaks and stuff like that, I think I think it's just switching it up. I think it's literally switching up. I think if you did Fossil or a certain set every week, you will probably get desensitized to it, whether being the breaker or the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
What I like to do is I like to go through different eras, just switch it up, because even if it's not the most popular set, for instance, about a month ago, I was doing the likes of Fates Collide. What other one was I doing? Ancient Origins. I did Breakpoint, Breakthrough. They're not the most incredible sets,
yeah.
but the thing I like to do is hopefully bring attention to these cards to viewers that may have been like me, who weren't, well, I was collecting a bit of XY, but collecting these sorts of sets, because you get to just experience to see what's inside these sets, and you might fall in love with that set. You might see a Fates Collide box break. Actually, someone in my Discord literally was like, I've just completed my Fates Collide master set. And I'm hoping that might have been something from my stream where they've never even seen that set, but they just love the cards in it and they've gone to collect the whole thing. So I like to keep it fresh and switched up. I know Chloe's doing like a episode of like opening every set, which is really, really cool. I was doing the Sun and Moon set for a bit, and then I went to X and Y. I've gone back to Sun and Moon recently. I would love to try and do some black and white, although if I'm being totally honest, black and white hasn't really I'm not really attached to it that much, but I do want to experience. Maybe I need to do them.
You gotta get that Plasma Storm Charizard, man.
Exactly. Very true. Very, very true. But like, hopefully by doing these breaks, I might go, do you know what? I actually love these cards from I'm trying to think of a set now. Is it Legendary Treasures? Was that?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Yeah, Legendary Treasures.
Yeah.
Because that's got some cool cards in there.
Yeah. Plus, there's shiny sprinkled in the whole black and white era that I do
very
love.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and my taste changed 24/7, man. Like, I hated the E series growing up. I think that's what made me stop collecting, to be totally honest, because I saw them and I thought, oh, they look completely different to base set. So I love E series. Expedition's one of my favorite sets of all time now.
Right.
And then I've recently fallen in love with the EX era. Like, I just love the original EX cards, man. They just look so sick.
Dude, there are times where like I'll just look back at the cards that I've like sold or traded up, and it's like, man, I miss that card. And like one of those has to be Expedition. I remember when I first got back into the hobby, you know, I was very, very nervous buying like booster boxes. Like $100 was a lot to me. It's like, man, am I really about to spend $100 on a booster box? Like this is so childish, you know? Like, why am I doing this? And this is like after spending like, because I got back into the hobby in April 2019, and I kind of just like I still have this backseat approach before starting to take things seriously in September. And it's like, why am I doing this? And so like one of the first slab I ever bought was a PSA 9 Expedition Charizard for $175.
So
Yeah.
many good cards in that set, man.
Dude,
So
for
many good cards.
$175 for an Expedition Charizard too, like a holographic.
You'd be laughing right now. You'd be laughing.
And like the price of that card has just tremendously risen since. Back then it was a very, very unpopular card. It was the most unpopular E series card, E series set as is, and I think it just kind of changed in the last like year and a half or so, where it's like, oh, this set is actually very difficult to grade, and like a lot more people are starting to pay a lot more focus and attention to Expedition. It's definitely gotten the recognition, the price point it definitely deserves. So it's a card that I miss. One card I do miss is my Aquapolis Lugia card, because it's like, dang, that artwork is so sick. And then I also miss,
I know
like,
someone who owns 2 Aquapolis boxes, man. They look so cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
It's just I'm a Charizard and Lugia fan, so like
good choices.
I can't pick one over the other. It's just like those are my 2 favorite Pokemon, and so dude, I get it. I think at the end of the day, just to kind of start wrapping things up with all of you guys, the biggest points that Dean has basically just said, like, just 1, be patient. 2, don't buy things that you will eventually regret later because of the price point, right? I think it's just something that you need to buy things that you feel like it's going to stay with you for a hot minute. You have your time, you're going to enjoy it for what it is worth, regardless of the price. I think the hobby kind of needs to go back to focusing on the love of the collectibles and the love of collecting, and then the price points need to be secondary, right?
Yeah.
I think 2020 and 2021, a lot of people made a huge emphasis on price points, and that's okay. That's totally fine. But, you also have to be okay with the price points of things that are of where they're at now if you did not sell. So I think it just comes down to that. Being a fan is, much more rewarding than just being this person that sees it purely as an investment. And there's nothing wrong with being an investor. There's nothing wrong with being a buyer or seller or someone who has a just pure business behind it where there's no emotion behind it. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it just comes down to just having a much more level-headed approach across every vertical when it comes to the hobby of collecting cards. And it's an honor to have the one and only PokeDean. Make sure you follow PokeDean _ on Instagram. Make sure you follow PokeDean on YouTube. Make sure, and like Umbreon Hunter says, just buy things that you enjoy. Don't be peer pressured. Don't let others influence your. You can easily go on Instagram and be influenced by other people. It's like, dang, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I think that stretches outside of just Pokemon. But as you mentioned, people probably go on these apps and see. They might see someone with a card that they love and they think, I need this now. And it's like, don't compare yourself to other people. Literally do just do it in your own time. Literally do it in your own time. And that will almost be the fun of it as well. Because if you have a goal and you're doing whatever it takes to get to that goal, that'll be so much more rewarding. And you remember those moments more than just going on eBay and going, right,
buy now.
I need to buy now, and now I need to pay back my friend, parents, whatever in 3 months. And work my butt off. So
there's even though like a lot of us have extensive collections out there, you see people with huge collections. They all started somewhere, right?
Yep.
And they all felt at one point that there is this one card that is, the crown jewel of their collection. Like that would be the crown jewel of their collection. It's a card that they've always wanted, and they all thought it was a daunting task. They all thought that it was impossible. They all thought they would never have it 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now because of the price point. The point is like, again, you will eventually have it. If you do have this level of patience, like Dean has said, regardless of what's happening economically, you will eventually get there. And being a fan of Pokemon doesn't mean that you won't be a fan 5 years from now. And even if you have to take a break, that's totally fine too. But eventually, from here all the way up to however many years, if you still enjoy the hobby the way you should, you will eventually get the things that you want in your collection. Yes, there's a lot of impulse decisions. I'm guilty of it. I make impulse decisions all the time. I made like 5 of them just last week. So like it's one of those things where you just kind of have to like take it day by day and just be patient with it. I know like the biggest reason why I got into producing content was to essentially pay for my hobby. That's pretty much why I got into content creating. But
and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
Like if you need to do that to, like, some people obviously will use money from their job or whatever. Like if you want to, if you love making content and it's a good way of like getting the stuff you want, then there's nothing wrong with that. Go
Absolutely.
do that. But like you said, it's just take your time, don't compare, and it will eventually get to where it needs. You'll get to where you need to be able to purchase it. It'll be a very fulfilling feeling, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So just to start wrapping things up, what's next for PokeDean and the PokeDean channel? What do you have anything up and coming going on? Any new box breaks?
This is where me and Chloe will just look at each other and just be like,
I don't know yet. We don't know. Let's figure it out.
What's next? Yeah. I mean, next, I'm trying to hit 25K on YouTube.
Okay.
I really want to hit that by the end of the year. That'll be really cool. Do a nice little celebration for that. But yeah, just continue what I'm doing, uploading videos. I'm trying to upload just the best of my ability. I think I'm a type of person where I get bored if I do the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
So I like trying to switch it up every now and then. So just try and find cool things to do and just cool experiences, man. Like genuinely, that's what I hope this journey brings me. It's just awesome moments with community members, yourself, just other people with like-minded and goals and experiences that just love Pokemon. Just
absolutely.
I don't know. Like I've been in different communities in the past, and I think Pokemon is the best community I've ever been in. It's the most heartwarming, kind, positive,
long-lasting friendships too. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's absolutely incredible, and hopefully you get to make it over here at some point. And
definitely. If I'm flying out to the UK, you guys will be the first people I hit up. It's like, hey, I'm flying out to the UK. Let's go get something to eat. But
definitely,
something I did forget to actually bring up was your podcast, the PokeCast, right? Is that what it's called, the PokeCast? Poke Podcast. I want to talk about that a little bit more because I want to give you guys the right amount of attention that you guys deserve. I want to talk about that a little bit more. So, you guys have been running a podcast for a while now. You guys do it fairly often. Amazing, amazing podcast. You guys are available on Spotify, right? Are you guys also available on Apple? No, not on Spotify,
no,
just
so
on YouTube?
We're just YouTube at the moment. We're looking to get that. Obviously, because we run both our channels, it's hopefully we can get to a point where we'll be able to focus on lots of things for the podcast. We have big ambitions for it.
Umbreon Hunter says, don't let Dean cook for you, though.
Shout out Umbreon. Shout out to everyone who's watching the live stream, by the way.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining the stream, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But
but no, the podcast, we have really big ambitions and we want to take it very seriously. I'm sure as things go on, it'll be a lot easier to do some certain things. We're in the process of changing up the studio and location and stuff like that. So it's going to be
your studio is pretty
fun.
Sweet right now, though.
Hopefully,
I like the setup.
Really, really cool.
I really do like the setup.
But yeah, no, the podcast is cool. The reason we wanted to start that, because obviously we love talking about Pokemon, and then also when on our own channels, when you make content, it's very different style. And with the podcast, you probably know yourself, is that you can just chill, talk, and you don't have to be super animated, and it's not opening packs every day, and we can just talk about cool stuff. So loving the podcast, absolutely loving it, and hopefully both of ours, yours as well. We're a big fan of your podcast.
Thank you guys so much.
Hopefully both can just continue to grow and be some really, really cool content on both the channels.
Yeah, I wish you guys nothing but the success, because you guys are crushing on Instagram, you guys are crushing on YouTube, so it's only natural for the podcast to also have that level of progression. And honestly, what you guys talk about is also very, very in depth too. So for those of you guys who do watch this podcast, make sure you watch their podcast as well, and just stay up to date with that. Make sure you follow them on PokeChloe's social media. Make sure you're following PokeDean _ on Instagram, and just getting the up to date news as far as all that goes, because Um, I think this space, a lot of people, it's so easy to make it's so easy to look at content as a form of competition. And yeah, you can, and competition is very healthy, but at the same time, I think there's I really want everyone to win.
Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah, like there's
I
so
think
much
I think
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's so much space for everyone. I think
Yeah.
YouTube's the biggest platform out there that if the whole community, if the community's winning, then the whole community's winning, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like I don't think there's any place for lone wolves type things.
Yeah.
Like it's if everyone's winning, then brilliant.
Yeah.
I'd rather that than
Yeah.
one person winning. So
Yeah.
hopefully by the time some people from my community come over, we will get you to hit 1,000 because that'll be
Oh
an
man.
absolute milestone. That'll be
Yeah.
incredible.
Hey, only if you
And
guys enjoy the content. I'm not gonna pressure anyone to follow me or subscribe to me, but only if you guys enjoy the content. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I don't have any problems if you don't, or if you're just here for Dean. If you're here for Dean, 100%, that's fantastic. That's great of you guys to be supportive. And those are guys who are here from my community. Actually, I want you guys to like. I will cry. I will be very upset if you guys do not follow PokeDean on Instagram. Love the dude. Love what they're doing out in the UK. And I think you guys are superstars in itself. I think there's gonna be a lot more attention that grows on the UK side. I think a lot of people are watching you guys and just learning from you guys. And I think you guys are definitely a powerhouse over there. So
but that's also what we're trying to do, especially with the podcast, is we're trying to bridge that gap between the UK because we feel there's a big gap between the US and the UK.
Yes.
And hopefully by us bringing on you guys and other content creators from across the pond, that we'll be able to like give you guys the attention that's needed that people might only watch UK Pokemon content creators and vice versa. Like I feel like, as we were saying, why should there be US and UK? Why can't they both merge together and everyone know everyone and everyone just keeps just spreading each other's stuff? So hopefully that happens.
I think it will. I think eventually it will. I think it's in that process right now. But on that note, guys, thank you guys for joining the podcast. Just to briefly talk about the sponsors of this podcast, we have TCG Stadium. TCG Stadium is an online card shop based in Nashville, Tennessee. They sell Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon product. Go on TCGstadium.com, check it out, buy some stuff. Let me know what you pull. Then we have Pokemon Network. Kenley, this dude is crazy, okay? He's a guy on social media that's constantly saying "Let's go, woo!" On pretty much every platform. That dude has been annoying the crap out of me. Guys, make sure you follow Kenley, otherwise he's gonna call me at 4:00 in the morning and bother me. Dude has affordable products down to lower tiered slabs down to the most expensive slabs, and he is willing to cut deals. Make sure you contact Kenley on Instagram or Facebook, the Pokemon Network on Facebook or Instagram. Make sure you check it out. Then we have Double Infinity Gaming. Double Infinity Gaming is a online card shop based in Southern Florida. Julie and Will are amazing people. If you're wanting to touch on Magic the Gathering and you're wanting to make the headway, Magic the Gathering I think they just dropped the Fortnite collaboration. So I'm about to buy some of that just because I love Fortnite. If you guys are willing to learn about the game, or if you guys are having any questions, check out Double Infinity Gaming on Instagram. Amazing people, amazing couple. I think they're the sweetest people there is. And then our unofficial sponsor, we're not sponsored. People think we are sponsored, but we're not, is the Collector app. The Collector app is the #1 tracking portfolio app there is. You literally can track multiple TCGs. I kid you not, like loads and loads and loads of TCGs, as well as Funkos and sports cards. And, it's a great way to keep an idea of what you have in terms of sealed products. Not only just card, it's sealed product too. So it's a really, really cool app. It's made by collectors for collectors, and it's free. Definitely go check it out. And that's pretty much it. Dean, do you have any last words to say? Plug anything that you want, and whatever projects that you might have going on.
I just want to say a big thank you for inviting me on here, man. It's been
absolutely.
An absolute pleasure.
I'm glad we were able to work this out finally.
Yeah, man. It was a long time coming, so I appreciate your patience. Speaking of patience, and hopefully, we can touch base again in the near future.
Love to have y'all on.
Yeah, definitely. And vice versa. So hopefully we just both keep smashing it. Guys, if you're watching that know all about me, definitely subscribe to this channel because some awesome topics are spoken on this podcast.
Thank you.
Very informative as well, and it's very, very, very good. And then let's just keep smashing it. Hopefully, see what Worlds brings us, and end the year with an absolute bang. So
absolutely,
let's see how it goes.
Yeah,
we're
shout
here
out
for
to
a good time, not a long time. That's how we're gonna end it.
Yeah, that's a good way to sign it off. Thank you guys for those guys who are in the chat. Your average player, Master Trainer Ryan, Pokey Chloe, Daniel Ibarra, Chavals, Tap Lab, and Lucario Forever. Thank you guys, Sam Chibi. Thank you guys so much, and anyone else who does watch this channel after it gets published. Again, thank you guys. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Every bit of support helps. And again, we love you guys. So on that note, peace out. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening, good rest of the day, wherever you are in the world. And I hope that as each day passes, you're one step closer to your collecting goals. Peace out.